Okay, so I was meaning to get around to doing this a while ago. This is a Castlevania fan game made by Michmede, however that is pronounced. I'll put the name on screen. Known as Dracula's Shadow. It is very much inspired by Simon's Quest. You could say that it is an expansion of sorts of Simon's Quest, even though it's its own standalone fan game. But before I want to talk more about it, I want to clear up a few things that might be inaccurate. Well, first things first, you can do a special technique in the game known as an item crash if you have enough golden hearts to do so. Those will be dropped occasionally by monsters you kill, but I feel like the handbook, there's an actual mistake in it. In the handbook, it says that if you press jump and up at the same time, you'll execute an item crash. I have never been able to do it pressing jump and up. How you actually do an item crash is you actually have to hold down and be ducking, and then hit the jump button. But if you're not allowed to do it and you can't actually do an item crash right now, either you don't have the right sub-weapon for it, or you don't have the right character to do it, or you don't even have any golden hearts at all, you simply won't be able to do it, no matter what buttons you press. And before I start the game, let me just say that this is an old game. This was made back in 2005, but I think it dates back even further than that. It runs well on Windows XP, but I really don't see many computers using that anymore. I'm on Windows 7, so I actually had it crash frequently before I went into the WinConfig file and changed some settings. So if you're running this on Windows 7, here's probably what you're going to want to do. Because assuming you're going to run this on Windows and not DOS. I don't know about DOS at all, I know about Windows, like what you want to do. So I changed just two things in this config file. I don't know which one actually causes it to not crash, but I changed the DXAC to DXSA to DirectX and safe mode. I'll be willing to disable some fancy features just to make sure the game won't crash. I mean, I'd rather be able to play the game, you know. And then I also changed the sound parameter because the game would crash every time you tried to, because whenever you tried to talk to someone, read an in-game message, read a sign, kill a boss and try and gain a level, save your game, so on and so forth, a text box would appear, sound would play as the letters are appearing on screen, and there's always a chance that the game could just crash. So I also changed the AXA, which is first direct sound device using Allegro mixer, to just DXA, so I'm getting rid of the Allegro. I don't know which one of those two parameters being changed will cause it to not crash, but I just do these two, and since I changed those two, I haven't had it crash once. And if there's anything else unusual that the handbook doesn't explain that I'm gonna have to, then I'll definitely say so. So you press delete, and if you want to delete a quest, then it asks you if you're sure you want to do so. Press A. I'm pressing A on my keyboard to... I thought I fixed it! Okay, I'm gonna go and play around with the settings some more. I think I still need to fix it. Crap. Maybe those two changes in the config file that I made didn't quite take effect because I had to just reopen the app. Because I just had to reopen the game. So hopefully now we don't have it crap. Okay, it still deleted the file. Now no need to put in the name, let's just start playing. Okay, it sounds like I got rid of the Allegro, so we should be fine. I don't think we're gonna deal with any more crashes. I was not expecting that to happen, like, when I was deleting my last file, save file. So you immediately start in a graveyard with a bunch of enemies you can kill, and this is actually a pretty good opportunity to just farm hearts, because everything here dies in one hit, and they'll drop half hearts, which give you like 4. I'm just gonna get up to 100 because there's 2 items I know I need to beat the game. I know I need the holy water, but the dagger is just very useful in the early stages of the game. That plus killing the first boss is almost impossible without it. Since I mentioned boss, I'll probably tell you more about it once I actually get to it. So So yeah, as you can see with the status bar on top, that this is very much inspired by Simon's Quest. I'm picking up hearts, plus I have an experience system. But in this area, you don't actually gain experience, and since we're not trying to do this as fast as possible, and I'm just trying to show off the game, we might as well have Melissa tell us the story of Dracula's Shadow. Vlad III, the Prince of Wallachia, has returned from the Hell to satisfy his desire of evil and death. Last night, a dark cloud obscured an old castle here in Transylvania, and a demon appeared in the middle of the fog, announcing that he was waiting for the arrival of Count Dracula, the Prince of Darkness. According to the legend, when the forces of evil will gather their strengths again, then the soul of Dracula will return on Earth, and the clouds of evil... Sorry if I can't read fast enough. And the only candles in the game you will find are save candles. If you hit these and say yes to record your quest, you'll save your progress. Do note that it doesn't save your hearts and your experience counter, but all your previously gained levels will be saved. And just like Simon's Quest, there are townspeople to talk to. You go into buildings in towns, but you can only do so during the daytime, because the day-night cycle is still a thing in this fan game. And of course, you buy stuff with hearts, stuff that you'll most likely need to clear the game. Some of it optional, but just makes the game a hell of a lot easier, because it's just good weapons. And these guys in robes like to just move left and right at random. It can be annoying at times when it just walks all the way to the right. And since there's townspeople, let's talk to them. The ferryman knows some of Dracula's stories. Okay. Prepare for a long trip. Dig the 5th stone in the forest at right. You will find secrets with holy water. I'm gonna have to keep all this in mind. The haunted building is beyond the lake. The evil has fallen on this land. And unlike Simon's Quest, many of the villagers in this game, well, most of them, actually give real clues. I'm gonna go to the 5th stone that you see, starting from your left, in the forest just to the right of this town. Clues to Dracula's riddle are at the Rake's graveyard. Recipe. You gotta stay true to the original game, where you can't even spell things correctly. I mean, in Simon's Quest, it was process, but in this fan game, now it's recipe. It should be recipe. But I've talked to some of these people before, not recently, and most of the advice they give is actually far more useful on average than what you get in Simon's Quest. You found the first presage. So it's just some text you can read that points you in the general direction you want to go to try and beat the game. Enter the haunted palace and free it from the curse. So you gotta find a palace, you gotta find a mansion. Yeah, what did I tell you, the day-night cycle. And if I would try and actually go into one of these buildings, even though the door still looks like it's open, I would not be able to. Because, well, they're closed, but they're not? I mean, it works the exact same way in Simon's Quest. Same day-night cycle, and when it's night, you can't go into any buildings or talk to any people in town. I got the weapons I want, so I'm just gonna go forward and start working my way to the first mansion, or palace, to free from the curse. So yeah, you can already tell that this was very much inspired by Simon's Quest. In fact, this looks almost exactly like the first area from Simon's Quest, except the level design itself is a bit different. Other than that, I mean, it's all the same graphics, same music. Well, not same music, it's remixes of songs from Simon's Quest. Well, before it turned night, that was a remix of Bloody Tears that was playing. And now it's a remix of well, the song that pretty much plays whenever it's night in Simon's Quest, this is it, but it's a remixed version. Okay, there was something I actually wanted to pick up. I'm gonna talk more about potions, because this is pretty much a new add-on. This is something new in this fan game that wasn't in Simon's Quest. And if I'm not mistaken, you only actually need one potion to beat the whole game. But having the other ones are pretty helpful. You won't even need the spirit potion, you'll eventually find out. Even though you may think you do to enter one of the mansions, you don't actually need it because you can just use the nail instead, but I'll probably just make all the potions just to show that off. So on the top right corner of this screen you'll see there's ingredients. That's supposed to be a strawberry. It's kind of tough to tell, but I found some strawberries earlier, so that's them. These ingredients are ones you use in your potions. That's pretty much what they're for. And you'll need to look around and or talk to people to try and find proper recipes for the potions, because you need to add the right quantity of ingredients to be able to properly make a potion. If you get the wrong ingredients and or get the wrong quantities of ingredients, then you'll just lose them entirely. I mean, you'll lose your ingredients either way if you do make the potion, but you'll just completely waste them if you just make your potion incorrectly. And yes, I know where everything is. Well, almost everything. I know where everything is that you need to beat the game. Might as well just save. So that was apparently a bag of toads. Maybe it meant toadstools, another word for mushrooms, but... Bag of toads, you might think you just found a bag of frogs, but no, it's a bag of mushrooms. While I'm controlling a different character, I might as well talk about that. Instead of Simon having 3 lives before he gets a game over and loses all his hearts and experience, you instead control 2 or 3 different characters, each with their own special set of abilities. Well, Sebastian and Melissa are actually very similar to each other. They'll actually have different item crashes depending on what set weapons they're holding at the time. I'll go more into that once I actually go and use that golden heart, which I picked up earlier. And Melissa can actually walk while she's crouching, but she won't go very fast. It's still better than not be able to do this at all. So each character has their own set of strengths and weaknesses, really. I'm gonna wait till I have a good setup and show you an item crash, because I want to get the most out of the golden heart if possible. Or maybe just use it on enemies that are tricky to kill. Like, one of the most annoying enemies in Simon's Quest was the blobs, and surprise, surprise, they're gonna be just as annoying in this fan game too. Even worse when they're near instant death pits. So yeah, if you're playing this fan game, you are also going to have to watch out for the blobs. Especially if you're near water, or just any sort of instant death pit. Because even in this fan game, you still can't swim. the holy water, because I can only whip or throw daggers straight in front of me. See, that can be really annoying sometimes. So to do this, I just crouched and then I hit the jump button, but nothing's happening now because I don't have any more golden hearts to do so with. I did a special attack that's called Dagger Win because I had the standard dagger and had Sebastian do the item crash. Melissa would actually have a different set of item crashes depending on what sub-weapons she's holding. So they have different special attacks. So you'll also want to keep that in mind. And different requirements for which special attacks they can do. Some require more than one heart, but item crashes are actually typically separated into 3 categories, based on how many hearts they use up. But I'll just talk about what happens when you gain enough experience for your next level. You don't gain it right away. Instead, you're whisked off to a boss fight. And this one, yeah, this is the very first boss in the game you'll fight for your first level. Unless you try to do the game at level 0, but I can't imagine anyone trying to do that, because they'll probably just die in one hit for, like, most of the end game. So what you want to do here is try and hit the eyeball. Much easier said than done, because it just knocks you back, unless you use your dagger. So what you want to do for this boss, this actually took me a while to figure out, what you want to do for it is actually just stand right about here. And just wait for when it's safe to jump and throw your dagger. If you do this, it's super easy to kill the eyeball. Otherwise, it'll be next to impossible. You gain full health before you have to fight the boss, and once you kill it, your health's restored and you gain the next level. And as you can see, the 0 in the top right corner of the screen is actually grayed out. That means that you're in an area of the game where you can no longer gain experience. It's to prevent people from grinding until they get later in the game. I mean, Simon's Quest also did that. As a result, the maximum level you can have in Simon's Quest is 6. Yeah, it's 6. I was talking about item crashes, the special attacks you can do before, but I got distracted by talking about how the bosses work in this game. Instead of finding them in mansions, you'll have to fight one to claim an extra level. Help you before you can level up. So yeah, item crashes, where were we? They're typically separated into 3 categories, all based on how many hearts you have to use to do them. Level 1 item crash only takes up 1 heart, but... oops. I don't want to lose these hearts. I might have a use for them, but then again, I don't think I will. There's a whip in this town, but I don't even really want to buy it because the dagger's just as powerful and that costs less. So there's a level 1 item crash, but it only affects enemies that are directly in your line of sight. So only stuff that you're looking at directly right in front of you will get hit. Then there are level 2 item crashes that take up 2 hearts. Pretty much affect all enemies on the screen. Then there's level 3 that also affects all enemies on the screen, but the effect is actually continuous and lasts for a while. Until you leave the area or the time on that effect runs out. Since these golden hearts often drop at random, I like to think that just 1 heart item crashes are the safest option. If you're good at lining up a bunch of enemies and or know where to do this, you'll still be able to get a lot of use out of just item crashes that take up only 1 heart. When I say item crashes that take up hearts, I mean golden hearts, because those are the only hearts that allow you to do those item crashes in the first place. So I'm just going to make some potions, save, and then end this video. Then probably start up part 2. So I found one recipe and then got another by talking to a villager. So recipe for spirit potion. Apple 4, root 2. End. Obtain spirit potion. If you were to do this incorrectly, it'll say something went wrong and your ingredients you use will be gone and you'll get nothing for it. You'll have to get the ingredients all over again and try again. And some of these are placed very far away from each other, so that will be extremely annoying. You'll want to try and find all the potion recipes before even attempting to make a potion. Either that or worst case scenario, just save your game and if you mess up, reload your save file and before you... Well, don't save if you mess up, just load your save file back to before you made the potions, or try to. So I have 2 potions, neither of which are actually necessary to beat the game, but I'll just show off what both of them can do. I'll also show off the divide potion, because I can't do anything with the spirit potion right now. In fact, I can't even do anything with this, because I only have 1 character alive, so never mind. Maybe later in the game, like if I lose Melissa and then get a game over, I'll lose my hearts and my experience, which I have none of, but I'll be able to show you the divide potion. But can't, since only 1 character's alive. You need at least 2 to be able to use it. So yeah, that's part 1 of Dracula's Shadow. I had a lot of explaining to do because there's a lot to talk about in this fan game. Like, it's not just the fan game of Simon's Quest, but there's a lot of new content that really makes it stand out.